The Falkland Islands, who has the best claim, Argentina or the United Kingdom? This recently became topical after Argentina claimed a diplomatic triumph after the EU used the term Malvinas, the Argentinian name for the archipelago, in an official document. It was promptly retracted. There was another incident in March where Argentina's foreign minister notified the British that they wanted the question of sovereignty for the Falkland Islands resolved over some talks before the United Nations. So let's see who has the best claim. Well, the natural place to begin, I'm sure you would agree with, is to work out who were the native inhabitants. Well, there weren't any. Well then, who was the first to discover the islands? Well, the first in recorded history was Englishman John Davis in 1592, but this is disputed. Dutchman Sebald de Ward, sorry my pronunciation is awful, made the first undisputed sighting in around 1600, and the first undisputed landing was by John Strong almost a century later in 1690, where he wandered around for a few happy days. So as of 1690, England probably has the strongest claim. However, the islands remained uninhabited until 1764, when the French established the first colony, Port Louis, on the East Falkland Island, consisting of about 250 people. So France has the best claim. Well, just 1 year later, on the western island of Saunders Island, Captain John Byron also had a little wander and said, "This is one of the finest harbours in the whole world. The whole navy might hide here in perfect security from all winds," and without knowing about the French colony on the other side of the archipelago, claimed the whole thing for Britain, and thus the British colony Port Egmont would soon be created, and soon there would also be a sovereignty dispute. However, the Spanish soon got what the kids call major FOMO when they heard about the two colonies. Because of an old treaty, they believed that they had sovereignty over the Falklands. France quite nicely volunteered to give up St. Louis to Spain, for they were allies at the time. But in 1770, Spain had to send a military expedition to take over the British colony. They succeeded. So by sheer military might and diplomacy, Spain now has the best claim, right? Well, Britain soon threatened war, and thus Port Egmont was soon returned. However, then France decided to get back into the story by helping the American colonists win the Revolutionary War against the almost bankrupt Britain, and thus Britain chose to withdraw from many colonies, including the Falklands in 1774, leaving it all under the de facto control of the Spanish. However, the British left behind a plaque stating that Britain still had ownership over the islands, but let's be honest, they were now Spanish, especially when in 1777 the Spanish destroyed the remains of Port Egmont and removed the symbolic plaque, or if we were to use modern parlance, colonized the territory and stole the historical artifact. However, in 1811, it was now Spain's turn to lose a revolutionary war in the Americas and be on the brink of bankruptcy, and two, they left the Falklands. However, they thoughtfully left a plaque which claimed sovereignty for Spain. I wonder where they got that idea from. This is where Argentina's claim becomes somewhat plausible. The country gained de facto independence from Spain in 1813, and in 1816 just claimed all of Spain's former territories in the South Atlantic. But then in 1821, a fishing rights dispute with America led to America sending in a warship and dissolving the entire Falklands government. And then the British, being opportunists, moved back in. There were then some exciting kerfuffles I'll skip over, and in 1840 it became a crown colony with some Scottish settlers who would remain till this very day. So it's decidedly British then. Well, Argentina does refer people to look at the right to self-determination enshrined in the UN Resolution 1541, but judging all opinion polls of the residents, they certainly don't want independence from the UK, yet alone be integrated into the failing state of Argentina, who they have very little cultural links with and have over 100% inflation right now. Argentina also says that there simply aren't enough residents for them to constitute as a people with a political voice. However, this probably isn't true because Nauru's population at its independence was of a very similar size to the Falklands today, and yet they are internationally recognized. However, I don't want to give the false impression that because of all of this, the Falklands will always be British. One of the main reasons the Falklands War happened in the first place was because Argentina was noticing how neglected the archipelago was by successive British governments who all failed to invest in the islands, leading to infrastructure collapsing, economic destitution, poverty, and a falling population. And as a result, the islands were becoming more and more dependent on trade with Argentina, and with the removal of military resources from the area, for example HMS Endurance, and allowing South Thule, a dependency of the Falklands, to be occupied without contesting it, it was only a matter of time before Britain lost control. So Britain does need to be reminded that it can't take the 99.8% 2013 referendum result for granted. So who do you think has the best claim? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.